Hi, my name is Joe Byer, and I just wanted to share with you a little bit about this pedal board I built for myself a couple years ago. My hope is that it gives you some ideas on what you could do with your equipment, what can be done when you're building a pedal board, what devices are out there that you could utilize to be creative, or make your life easier, and also to have some fun. So I hope this finds you well and you can get something out of this video. I wanted to build a board that could be used to go direct in with the DI box, so it's quick, but also be able to be used with real amps. And I wanted stereo or mono capabilities, and I needed the option to change quickly between those if I went from one job to another job and I went from 2 amps to 1 amp. If I had ground hum in an amp, what would I do about it? All these kind of real world issues. And I wanted the ability to have presets, so if I wanted to turn on, let's say, 2 overdrives and a fuzz and a delay at one time, but then quickly switch with one button and have it go to like a pure clean sound, let's say with the compressor on. All those things can be done with this setup, so that's kind of cool. I also wanted it not to be too big, but flexible, so I could add on more pedals in the future, or for one gig, let's say, I needed just some more pedals, I could add those too. So it does a lot, and I'm looking forward to show you how it works. A little disclaimer, I really don't believe that pedals make your tone good. I think it's mostly in the brain, and then your fingers, and then your ability to transfer that to a guitar. How you pick, how you pluck, what kind of pick, what kind of finger you use. That is the most important thing. But you do need certain devices to get you sounds that you hear in your head, and you can only do that sometimes when you have pedals or effects. You know, if it's an effects unit that's not in focus, but that's okay. We'll talk about it in a little bit. All right, so here's how my board is routed. It's not so complicated. First, I'll explain the routing, and then I will go into more detail on what some of this stuff does. So the guitar plugs into this box, which is just basically an input and an output box. And it goes to the whammy pedal, the wah-wah, and into the switcher. And it goes out of the switcher in stereo to the stomp, the timeline, the big sky. And out of the big sky, it goes right to here in the outputs of this interfacer. So the only pedals that are always, active in the chain are the whammy, the wah-wah, and these 3 up top. Everything else is wired into the switcher. So this interfacer box is pretty cool because you can, flip the phase on a channel if your amps don't sound right. If something feels weird, you can try flipping the phase, and that sometimes will fix that issue. You can also lift the ground if you're having a hum when you're using 2 amps. And if you need to mute your signal, you can quickly shut it off or sum it to mono. Let's say you're using a left and a right pinging delay, and you're only getting one side. If you're running mono, you could use that same patch in your timeline, but get both sides of that delay. Next up, we have the whammy always on, so if you're feeling creative with harmony or pitch or anything you want to do, it's always able to be used, or as an octaver, which I do quite often. And out of the whammy, the wah-wah, this little Dunlop mini wahs, sounds great. I believe it's true bypass. And it goes into the pedal, this RJM Mastermind PBC 6. And this is very cool because all these overdrives in the H9 are wired into here, and the order can be switched around on any of these pedals. So let's say, like for me normally, if I'm using a clean amp, I'll have the king of tone at the end of my chain typically as my dirty amp sound, and I can boost that with a tube screamer or the Klon. But if I flipped either of these pedals after this king of tone, the sound is, first of all, probably going to sound louder, thicker, more round. It'll be a completely different sound, and that flexibility is great to have if you have time to design, you know, your sounds in your brain, you really can do a lot. So we have a compressor wired in, then we have the Mastertron fuzz. We can do the Tube Screamer, the Klon, or the H9. And because I ran out of buttons, I built this little box here. So I can switch to a certain page, I think it's this one, and I can turn on like this. I sometimes swap these pedals, like a Zen Drive, or I have these other Wampler, this little bell, or these mini pedals. This one's like a rat, and they fit right here, and I'll sometimes switch these ones out, most commonly. So this is just a switch, and I have it also as a tap tempo. And this is wired into my switcher, so I can, in this RJM software, I can work on my computer and tell, you know, this button to do a certain function. And same with this. This is where it gets a little more complicated, and even I'm getting confused right now what I did. So on this, having the ability to make presets is pretty valuable. So let's say you want a clean sound, not that, but it could be turned off like that. Let's say that's your clean sound, and you want compression on, and then you have a solo that you need to switch to turn this on. You just make a new preset, which would turn that on, maybe turn your delay on, because I have a MIDI cable I built that splits out to here, here, and here. Actually, here, here, and here, and then I was having issues, so I just jumped from there to there out of the back of these pedals. And with a preset, you can just, you know, switch it, and it'll tell this to change, it'll tell that to change, it can do anything. So that's pretty cool. I wanted a pedal board that could do direct, you know, amp simulation as well as using amps, and to make it kind of easy when I did that. Let's say sometimes you go direct and other times you don't go direct. I can deactivate, you know, the speaker simulation and the amp simulation just like that, or save it, you know, resave it to be activated like that on a gig, then it's good to go. So I can turn on the effects here. I also should mention that you can put an effects loop in the Stomp. And so I built this cable that goes out in stereo and back in stereo. And I can plug in any effects, like any modulation, or let's say an HX Effects, any multi-effects unit. Could be basically a Pedalboard add-on. That could be foot switchable from here, or just always turned on. So that's kind of cool too. I use the Chalk's power supplies, the DC7 underneath, which does have you could charge your phone or iPad if you needed to. I have yet to use that feature, but it's a great feature. You can change the voltage on any of these. And to power pedals like the Stomp, you can get an extension, or like a summing cable that it takes two of these ends, sums them into one, so you have enough milliamp juice for pedals that need more power. And this Chalk's 8 is just an extension of, you can get a 4 output that's a little smaller, or you can get this 8. And these are rock solid. They've been great. I've had this board now almost 3 years, I think I built it. And so far, everything's been working great. This is a Vertex Pedalboard, actually, by the way. And I had the people that make the risers for their boards, because I wanted to fit this whammy pedal here, so I had the company that makes their riser, this section. They made me a little bit narrower one because I wanted access to the knobs on these pedals so I can tweak them in the moment, because let's say you're using a humbucker guitar versus a single coil guitar, sometimes you need to alter the output to get the balance right. So it's all, and it plugs in easily. Yeah. Now, one thing I didn't mention yet is this Dunlop pedal is just, it's set as an expression pedal, and it's wired into my RJM switcher, so I can I can, through the RJM software, I can tell this pedal to do, I could tell it to change parameters in all 4 of these pedals that are connected via MIDI, or just one. So sometimes I will, like probably currently, I have it set to change the feedback on a delay, both delays probably, so they can ring out really long, and then I can change it. That can be kind of fun to use. You could change the reverb mix. Really any parameter in any of these pedals can be adjusted with that. And I can't remember if I mentioned, but this is just set as a volume pedal, but I have it connected through my switcher. So if for some reason I needed to shut it off, or I wanted a preset with this not in my signal chain, I could just turn it off manually or in a preset. It's probably one of these, yeah. See, it's that one. What else is kind of cool? Oh yeah, there's a little thing on the side here. Let me see if I can get this. This other box I built right there, that silver one, that has an in and an out that goes through this switcher, and it's basically, if you want to plug in another pedal to it, you have another option to plug in a mono pedal or a series of mono pedals. That's what that's for. Let's say you want to just try out a pedal, then it's set as an insert. So I think it's right here. It's just a loop. So it's another way to do a loop. Same as this, same principle as the one in the Stomp, except this can be in stereo. And the other switch, actually, I wired up so it can be a foot switch. Let's say you have like a Fender style amp with a reverb and tremolo. I can connect a TRS cable, I believe, to that and turn on and off reverb or tremolo in an amp, which is really cool. That's basically it. Well, maybe just a little more about this switcher. So I can make, as I probably mentioned, presets. I can do 4 on one page easily, and then bank up to another, bank, so another song, and you can do many songs. So that's, for presets. Or you could do 4 presets, and then let's say you get to the bridge on a song or a solo and you need more pages, you just bank up and make more presets. But also, I can just run it like a pedal board, turn one pedal on and off. And that's not all though. So with this, I have it set to turn on and off assignments within this pedal. So I have, let's find something. Yeah, so like a chorus effect. This button is set to turn on and off the chorus on this page of my preset page, and it can be tap tempo as well with this button. On this page, this will just turn on and off these 2 pedals, and I won't have the tap tempo feature. So it's basically like a full pedal board setup where I have buttons for all of my pedals, counting these. And what I actually did, because I was using an effect on this Stomp, I made this the controller for this block in the Stomp called FS4 rather than this one, because those pedals I don't use as often as I might turn this on much more often. So it allowed for more flexibility, and same with the tap tempo. If I'm just doing one set, I can stay on this page and just run it like a pedal board. That makes it pretty cool, so it doesn't have to be complicated. I should also mention that while these 2 pedals are able to be turned on and off as you want them, or let's just say I don't want to use these reverbs and suddenly I want to clean it up and use something in these pedals that are post Stomp, I can do that, in the moment if I feel like it. But I also could make presets here that, tell that pedal to turn on and use a certain preset, or tell this one to turn on and off. And I've done it all these different ways depending on what I need to do. I hope this video gave you some insight and inspiration with what you could do with your pedals. and ideas for how you could build a dream pedalboard rig that works for you and gets you the tones you would love to get, and tones you can dream up or haven't yet dreamed up, but they're there because you made a great pedalboard. There are so many ways you can do it, and there's so much great equipment out there today that you can do it with, and this is just one of them. But thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if you have thoughts or questions. Have a great day.